Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Today we are going to be doing a full Pilates mat class, and you won't need any props. You will need some space to move around standing, and you'll need a mat to lay down on, but other than that, just bring yourself and your time. So let's start standing here. I'm going to sit this down and I'll stand a few paces back. Okay, so as we're standing, let's just find our feet about hip distance apart. Take a deep breath and we're just gonna rock from our toes to our heels for a moment. So using this not only as a little bit of where's my balance at today, but also how does it feel to be on my heels versus my toes? Where's your happy place of kind of your gait, or where you place most of your weight on your foot? And as you come back to a standing position, let's find a place that feels pretty even between your heels and the balls of your toes. And as you find that, let's begin to roll down. So we're tucking the chin, we're articulating down through the spine, stopping if you feel any tension or tightness, but just kind of using this as a moment to listen to how is your body feeling today. I'll stand to the side so you can see that we're just articulating down, noticing how it feels through the backs of the legs. How does it feel through your spine? How sturdy does it feel as you stack yourself back up tall? And then let's just hold our, heel ball of the feet spread across the foot, and we're gonna bring our arms out to the side. Take a moment to let your shoulders soften down. Take a deep breath. And as well, I want you to feel like you could grow tall through the crown of your head. So perhaps even placing a hand on the crown of your head and feeling that sensation of growing up tall. And carry that with you as you bring your arm back out into a T. We're reaching through your fingertips, and let's start to rotate your head to look in one direction. We're rotating your head right on top of the spine. And then let's take that in the other direction. And one more time to each side. And the other side. Head back to center. Now let's flex at the wrist. So we're almost making stop sign hands with our hands. So flexing through the wrist. And the same thing here. Grow up tall through the crown of your head. And let's rotate to look in one direction. And taking that to the other side. Head back to center. We're flat through the palms again. So the palms of your hands are looking down at the floor. And let's bring our ear towards one shoulder. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders soften down. And then let's rotate, just spiraling up to look up at the ceiling. And then spiraling down to look at the floor. Back to looking straight on. Let's take our ear towards the other shoulder. Take a deep breath and let your shoulders have a chance to soften down. And then spiraling up to look at the ceiling. And spiraling down to look at the floor. Head back to center. Now we're keeping our arms straight out into a T here. I'm gonna sit so you can kind of see a little bit easier. But we're keeping our wrists about the same height as our elbows and shoulders. We're gonna bend at the elbow. As if we're swimming, we're gonna open forwards, and then as you open back, explore your full wingspan here without popping out your chest or bringing your head forward. Bending at the elbows, swimming forward. Explore your full wingspan before you bend again and swim forward. So if I stand to the side, you can see how when I open back into my full wingspan, my spine is staying steady. My head isn't coming forward. My rib cage isn't popping out. So really kind of thinking about how big can I make this movement while staying stable. Let's take 3 more. And last one here. If your arms are feeling a little tired, take a break if you need to, but we're gonna make small focus circles through the shoulder. Arms are moving through the shoulder as you breathe. Reverse. Pausing, flex through the wrist. Let's turn this into a side bend, and we're reaching for the floor, reaching for the ceiling, and switching. And switching. One more time to each side. All right, go ahead and rest your arms at your sides, and let's just roll the shoulders back a couple times. And then let's turn our attention to the lower body. We're gonna warm up this space a little bit even before we come down to the mat. So let's bend the knees, come into a slight squat here. You can have your hands on your thighs, but you're lifted through your center so that this is helping to support you. You're light on your feet. And there's a nice neutral incline of your spine, so you're not rounded forward. Take a deep breath here, feeling like you could really sit back into your sit bones. And let's just start this movement at the pelvis. We're gonna take a little pelvic tilt and then a little pelvic extension. Articulating back and forth. It can be really small if it needs to. Your feet are staying flat on the floor, so make sure those toes don't start to lift up. Now let's take that next pelvic curl and just take that up a little higher so you're almost drawing your rib cage in towards you, and then as you take your extension, feeling like your rib cage gets to come forward to meet your arms, back and forth. Noticing what your feet want to do as you're moving your spine. One more set. And then go ahead and stand upright, and let's find a wide stance here. I'm gonna tilt the screen down a little bit because it's more important that you see the lower half of my body right now. So let's find a nice wide stance. And I've got pretty long legs, so I'm making this pretty wide, but we're just gonna lean in to one side here, making sure that your knees are tracking towards your toes so they're not kind of, angled in a different way. We're stretching out that inner line of the leg and just taking it back and forth. Noticing if one side feels quite different than the other, checking out what your knees are wanting to do. And our pelvis is staying stable as well. We're not rotating as we move. And then let's find just our neutral stance, and let's forward fold. Let your hands find the floor and just take a little bit of that back and forth. Couple more. And then go ahead and stand all the way back up. And let's start to make our way towards the mat. So we're gonna start on all fours on the mat. So let's place this here. All right, so we're on all fours. Make sure that your knees are right beneath your hips. Arms are beneath your shoulders, and you've got a nice spread palm so that you're feeling a spread and widening of your hand against the mat. As well, I want you to feel like you're actively pressing the mat away. So we're not living here, we're pressing the mat away. So you can see kind of where my Y logo is. I want that space to feel like it's reaching up towards the ceiling. So just find that feeling of pressing the mat away and breathe. We're slightly lifted through our center, so this space is helping to hold us. I'm going to step forward because we're going to start to move our legs here. Okay, so we're actively pressing the mat away. Y logo is lifted towards the ceiling, and I want you to feel like that lift gets to come all the way up the back of your neck, even to the back of your throat, so that whole space gets to lift up towards the ceiling. Okay, so find those connection points, take a deep breath, and we're keeping this stable. So your pelvis isn't gonna wobble around very much as we start to extend one leg back, bringing it back in, extend that other leg back, and bring it back in. Back and forth. You're actively pressing the mat away. Now let's step back with one leg. Hold yourself steady. Let's lift that leg, pulse it up. Your back is not arching here. Small circles. And reverse. Draw that leg back in. Same thing to the other side. See if you can be just as steady on this side as you were on the other side. Make sure you've got your connection points. Extending, lifting, lifting and lowering. Little pulses. We're aiming for about 10. And then circling. Little focused circles. In each direction if that's good for you. And switch. And go ahead and bring that leg back in. Now let's take a little rock back into our heels. Rest your back. Reaching forward with your hands. And just breathing. Let's bring one hand a little further to its edge of the mat, other hand on top of that. And switching. And back to center. Lift from your center to bring yourself all the way back up to the starting point. Now let's challenge that stability that we were working on with our upper body. So we're actively pressing the mat away. Find the back of your throat, your Y logo, between your shoulder blades. And we're gonna start with our right arm. Without altering the stability you've created, let's extend one arm out forward and then out into a T. Out forward, out into a T. Out forward, out into a T, continuing. Hold your T arm, and then let's make a salute. And back into a T for 5. Hold your connection points. Shoulder blades are not crunching together. Rest. Take a moment, find your connection points here, and let's take that to the other side. This is reversing a lot of our desk sitting and forward folding posture that we all have just from our technology focused lifestyle. So enjoy the contrast. Connection points, and let's bring that other arm forward out into a T. For 5. 3, 2, and 1. Let's hold our T. You still have your connection points, and we'll start our salute for 5. And rest. Go ahead and sink it back into your child's pose. Rest your back. And breathing. Maybe even rotating gently back and forth. Scooping and lifting. A couple more things here in all fours. Let's bring our attention to our right arm and our left leg. We're holding our connection point steady. We're going to extend both limbs together at the same time with no change through the body. So we're not, wobbling back and forth as we try to maintain stability. We get to find that stability here and only extending your limbs out to the degree that you can hold on to what feels like you're maintaining all of these functional connection points. So let's take that out. Let's bring it back in through the center and take it out. And then 5 more here. Last one. Rest. Let's switch right away. This side might feel quite different. So meet it where it's at in terms of stability. 5 more. And rest. Float it back. Rest your back. Now if your wrists are starting to get a little tired, let's just give them a stretch. Maybe rolling them out. Reversing. Let's find our connection points. This time we're curling our toes under and we're just gonna lift our knees to hover and just breathe. Keep your connection points. If you can, let's lower and lift the knees. They never touch the mat. Hold that steady. Let's rock forward and back. 5 for all of these little variations if you can. Resting, sitting it back and breathing. Now let's sit all the way up, and we're just going to take it to a seated position here. Your knees can be bent. And let's think about all of your balls of the feet and your toes on the floor. Now you can hold yourself behind your hamstrings here, but let's start to just scoop it back. So it feels like your abdominals and your hip flexors are getting longer in towards your knees, and just breathe. Now hold this, make sure your big toes are staying on the mat, and let's just lift our arms and breathe. Keep scooping so that Those abdominals and hip flexors feel like they're lengthening down your legs. Let's open the arms wide and draw them back in. One more. Let's sink it back a little lower. Breathe. Sink it back a little lower. Little lower, little lower, little lower, little lower until you're resting all the way down. You can bring your feet in a little closer, whatever feels comfortable. I'm going to tilt my screen down. And just take a moment to breathe here. Let's come back to our pelvic curl and pelvic extension. Just rocking back and forth between those spaces through the pelvis. Now let's pause at neutral. Awareness on your back pants pockets. And we're just gonna sink a little heavier into one pocket, bring it back level, and then we'll take that to the other side. Sinking and back to level. Now as you sink, it'll feel like your leg bone wants to deepen into the back of the hip joint. And so feeling, what is it like on each side? It might feel quite different through each side of your pelvis. Couple more, just articulating back and forth. And then let's pause at center. We're gonna take a little circling around the pelvis. So let's start with our pelvic curl. Our pubic bone is floating up. And then let's sink into our left back pants pocket, slide into your pelvic extension, right pocket, and back into your curl. And take it around. We're just sliding around each of these 4 spots, but our knees are staying steady. So they don't need to move. All of that movement gets to take place through the pelvis. And then once you reach your curl again, let's reverse directions. And then let's just pause right back at neutral. Let's bring the arms up and around to gently hold the back of the head. We're gonna scoop up into a little chest lift. This is not a crunch. Our arms are narrow, elbows are narrow, and our arms are staying plugged in, almost like they're plugging into the top of the rib cage. So notice I'm not coming up very high, and also notice that I'm not puffing out through my abdominals to make this happen. It's almost like as you lift, it's to slide down deeper. So let's hold at the top and just breathe. Every exhale is a chance to deepen into this chest lift. Now attention on your right leg. Let's extend that leg long and let's lift and lower 3 times. Go ahead and glide back in. Same thing to the other side. Glide that leg back in. Let's rotate that chest lift towards the windows or rotate it towards your left side. You won't be in the same place I'm in. And then let's take that back to the right leg. Lengthen it out. 3, lift and lower. Glide it back in. Other leg lengthens out. Lift and lower for 3. And rotating towards the other direction. Same thing, starting with that right leg. And other leg. Take it back to center. Rest back down. Elbows get to widen. And let's knee sway. Sinking into one half of your pelvis, your knees just get to follow along. But this movement is guided through the pelvis, almost like the pelvis is the steering wheel for the movement, so that you're using your abdominals to move. It's not just your knees flopping from side to side. Now let's bring your arms up. We're gonna bend at the elbow. You're gonna clasp your forearms here. And we're gonna just do one thing with the upper body and then we'll add in the lower body at the same time. So we're going to bring the forearms down towards the rib cage. We're going to circle around, overhead, other side, and then back down towards your rib cage. So that's gonna be the movement through the upper body. Through the lower body, let's bring one leg at a time into tabletop. So as I bring my legs into tabletop, I'm not gonna be arching through the back. If anything, when you bring your legs up into tabletop, I want you to feel that you're connecting and deepening down through your abdominals. And so sometimes it helps to take a little pelvic tilt just to bring some contrast into that natural urge to arch the back. So feel that little tuck. Other leg comes up into shelf, and you get to hold that steady as you breathe. And let's add those arms back in. Now, you can either leave your legs like this, or you can bring your feet and knees together. Whatever feels a little bit more comfortable for your body today. Forearms come down towards your rib cage, and we start to just circle around. Five rotations in each direction. As you breathe, this is one that's really easy to hold your breath on, but it's so important to keep breathing into your rib cage, feeling that deepening breath to give you a sense of dynamic stability. It's not static. We're not rigidly holding anything. It gets to move as we breathe. Reverse. And then go ahead and hug your knees, rock it from side to side. And then go ahead and rest your legs back down. Let's come back to our pelvic curl and pelvic extension. Now on the next curl, let's start to scoop our pelvis up into a bridge. We're not clenching through the butt cheeks. Your sit bones aren't gripping together. Your feet are flat on the floor, but you're not pressing out too much into your feet. You're not pressing out into your feet. If anything, I want you to feel like you're pressing down into the mat with your feet and then sliding your feet in towards your own body. And then go ahead and melt your spine all the way back down. And let's take that a few times, just taking this at the pace that allows you to move in a way that's mindful and connected. Pelvic curl up. And we get to hold that little tilt of the pelvis the whole time. Feet are flat on the floor. We're reaching straight down to the mat, and then as if we're kind of pulling the mat in towards our butt cheeks. melting down. 2 more. And melting. Let's hold the next one up at the top. Find your connection points. Let's bring one leg up into shelf. Lift that leg straight up towards the ceiling, lower and lift for 3. And set that leg right back down. Find your connection points. Other leg lifts up. Your pelvis has not changed. It's still slightly tilted and it's not dipping down on one side. Let that leg rest back down. Melt your spine. Let's extend one leg all the way out. Grasp your leg behind your hamstring and let's straighten and bend that leg. And holding that leg here up at the top, point and flex your foot. My foot is out of the frame, but I want you to feel like you're reaching through the heel and then letting your heels slide down the back of your ankle. So your toes are involved as little as possible so that you can create the most movement from your ankle. Rotate your foot around your ankle. Leg is still while your foot rotates. Switching directions. And then set your leg back down. Let's switch sides. Straighten and bend. And we're finding whatever straight feels good. So if your leg doesn't straighten out all the way, if this is what feels good for today, then just stay here. We all are going to feel a little different day to day, and as well, depending on how we move through the day, our legs may feel really tight. And so just meet yourself where you're at day to day, but also leg to leg. Let's hold the next one at whatever straight feels like. Point and flex. Ankle circles, take a few in each direction. Your leg gets to stay still. And reverse. Resting back down. Now let's bring your hands to your hamstrings. Gently rock up to seated. Let's turn around onto your side. You can make a pillow out of your hand for your head. You can use a block or a little pillow. Whatever feels a little bit better for your body today. But what I want you to think about is allowing your shoulders to feel stacked. So our shoulder is not super, collapsed beneath us. And it's also not forward of the other shoulder. So oftentimes we have to bring that bottom shoulder back in space a little bit. Now, both sides of your torso are gonna want to be the same length. So usually we're kind of collapsed into the table beneath us. So there's a little work that we need to do to re-lengthen this side and almost gently pick this side up off of the mat a little bit. Like we want to slip a little piece of paper under there. And so just hold on to that as you breathe. Because of this active nature of our torso, there's a little work we have to do to hold ourselves that way through our center. Now let's just extend our top leg out. As we hold on to this organization, reach through your leg and just breathe. Now let's lift and lower that leg without changing what's happening through your trunk. Now hold that reach. Let's bend your knee in, make a shelf out of your leg on your side, and then kick straight out for 4 more. Last one. And go ahead and rest. Let's bring our palm on top of palm here and just start to open our thoracic spine. Up and over, head can roll with you. And let's take that a couple times. Just a nice stretch here. Last one. Now let's turn over onto the other side. I'm gonna flip around so that you can still see me, but you can always just turn over to the other direction. And set yourself up again. Find your connection points. Your shoulders are stacked, your hips are stacked. And let's pay attention to your trunk. So your top line of the trunk is getting a little longer, and you can feel like you want to slip a piece of paper underneath your body in the mat so that there's that work you have to do to maintain that alignment through your center. And then we'll stretch your leg out long and just reach and breathe. And we'll lift and lower that leg. It doesn't need to be a lot, just enough to kind of challenge your own stability. Your hips will likely tell you when that stopping point is, or you might be able to notice that if you take your leg too high and you don't have that mobility, that you just start to crunch up your torso instead. So we'll take 5 lowering and lifting, and then we're going to bend that knee in, making a shelf out of your leg, kicking straight out for 5. Last one. Go ahead and rest. Palm on top of palm, opening back. Two more. And go ahead and place your block onto the floor if you had one. If you didn't, there's nothing you need to do. But let's turn over onto our stomach. Make a little pillow out of your hands for your head. And let's work with some extension of the spine. So I want you to think about the Y logo between the shoulder blades. Let's lift up gently from that space. Head is lifting as well, but it's just along for the ride, so it gets to stay with your spine in terms of that lift happening through the back of the shoulder blades, and then lower back down. And let's take that again. And we're really finding the opportunity to extend back through the spine versus just to hinge at the lower back or the mid back. So we're thinking about moving through that sternum. Now, if you want to take this a little deeper, you can bring your hands to the side of the mat and start to lift up. You can gently press your hands into the mat and lower back down. And again. Bring our arms out a little further in front of you, and let's scoop up, make it as big as feels good, and lower back down. One more. Hands come closer in towards you, and let's scoop up and back into a child's pose again. Just counter that extension with a little flexion. You can rock from side to side. You can take one hand further and take that kind of side to side with a spiral. Other side. And back to center. And then let's scoop through the low belly, come back, and then let's find a seated position here for a mermaid stretch. Now, let's kind of feel into the best way for the legs to move through this. And what I mean by best way is what feels best for your body today. So we can either find a Z-sit. So one leg is going to be crisscross, and the other leg is going to kind of, our shin is facing outwards. And sometimes this can feel a little tricky through the hips. And so if this doesn't feel great for you today, you can cross both of your legs. You can sit in a chair and place your feet on the floor. Whatever feels a little better. We'll do the other version on the other side, but make sure that if you have your Z-sit, so your legs in the Z formation, you switch your legs and do the reverse for the other side as well. Let's bring one hand to the mat and start to take your spine up and over. So we're not crunching on this side, we're lifting up and over. Collarbones are staying wide, and then we'll reverse. Now let's twist on the next one. So hands gonna come to the back. We can reach up and over. You can even slide your arms in front if that feels good. You can slide up into an extension. Make this kind of an intuitive moment of movement for you here. Make sure you take that reverse one more time. Now to switch sides, you can either just switch your legs as well. You can do this whole thing just cross-leg. So kind of feeling into what's best for you today, but this is what it'll look like if we do it cross-legged. We'll again just take this side to side. And twisting if that feels good as well. Now when you're all done, you can sit up straight. Just take a moment to check in with your body. You may want to walk around a little bit, but you can be all done for today. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you back here next time on the Wise Recharge with Us from Home series. Take care.